Master JavaScript Random and Concatenation with Buckshot Roulette game project. If you haven't seen the first part, I definitely recommend you to watch it. I have the project from the previous video. If you don't have it by any reasons, you might download it from my GitHub page. I also have a video about how to download and run any files from the GitHub. We will need the Buckshot Roulette JavaScript file from the previous video and also an HTML file to connect to the browser. Be careful if you have several files in this field like script.source. You should choose your JavaScript file that you will continue to develop right now. If you have several files, you might write GS, and then the Visual Studio Code will give you the choice between all the files that you have. And I will choose Buckshot Roulette and save the file. You will probably have these names with gray font or gray color. I have a green color and this U letter because I'm connected to GitHub. You don't need to do it. If you have the gray color, it's absolutely fine. In the previous part, we wrote a game loop. We also created several cycles and we have a winning check. But if I run my code using live server extension, you will see a pop-up message because we are using confirm functions. And at first you should just skip this pop-up. You can just press OK or cancel. Then you might inspect the page and choose the console and you will start to see all the changes in the console. The main problem that we have right now is that we always know the result of the bullet. So we always know that our bullet is real, or I might change it to a blank one. No matter what choices I do, I will always have the same message in the console because our bullet doesn't change with the cycles. To give a random parameter to our bullet after every cycle, we have a special function in JavaScript that calls Math.random. I wrote an entire expression that will generate a random bullet from 0 to 1. But let's break it down how it works. At first, you should know that Math.random function generates a random number within the range from 0 to 1. 0 is inclusive and 1 is exclusive. So it means that our actual range is from 0 to 0.99999. We always should consider that this last number is exclusive. If I modify this function by multiplication, how to calculate a new range? I should take the AND numbers, the minimum and the maximum number of the random function. We know that this is 0 and 1. And then I should calculate the range based on these numbers. So I should take the lowest number, multiply it by 2, then take the highest number and also multiply it by 2. And I have a new range from 0 to 2. And we also should consider that the last number is exclusive. So it means that our actual range from 0 to 1.9999. One more example. At this point, I will multiply it by 2 and also sum 1. The principle is the same. I should take these edge numbers, that is 0 and 1, and just calculate our expression. If this expression equal to 0, I will multiply it by 2 and sum 1. And if our expression is 1, I will also multiply it by 2 and sum 1. Here I multiplied both numbers by 2, and right here I also sum 1, and we have a new range from 1 to 3 and the actual range from 1 to 2.999. I'm also using a Math.floor function. What it does, I copied and paste the Math.random multiplied by 2 that we have calculated in our previous example. So we know that this range is from 0 to 1.999. If I'm using this function inside of the Math.floor, what it does, the Math.floor works as a rounder. So it rounds our number to the closest integer, to the closest whole number, without decimal part. And as the name floor means, it will round the number downside. So it will essentially just take all the decimal part and delete it. We will eventually have the range from 0 to 1. You see that if we're using Math.random multiplied by 2, we have this range from 0 to 1.999. And if I'm using Math.floor to cover this range, I will actually have the range from 0 to 1 because Math.floor just round the number to the closest downside number. So it will just take the decimal part and delete it. One also important detail is that Math.random gives a range of numbers that are actually rational numbers. As you see on this diagram, rational numbers means numbers with decimal part, numbers with a fraction. So we might have actually any number within this range. So it might be 0.1, 0.2, or 9.8. So we have really a lot of numbers within this range. But if we're using Math.floor, it changes the behavior of our range to integers. As you see on this diagram, integers are actually whole numbers, numbers without decimal part. So from the range of 0 to 1, we have only two whole numbers, that is actually 0 and 1. And this is the reason why this function will always give the number of 0 or 1, only two possible options. And this is exactly what we need. If you remember, we used bullet as 0 or 1. I wrote a function that chooses randomly 0 or 1, so only two possible options. If I save the file, I might check it. I have a choice, where do you want to shoot? And I might choose, for example, myself and press cancel. And we have that, oops, you shoot yourself. I think, okay, let's try again. And again, oops, you shoot yourself and game over. And we might try it again. And at this point, let's shoot dealer. And we have, sorry, empty shot, dealer counterattacks. And we might try again. And you see that this random is a little bit strange. And this is because after every cycle, we should always assign the value. So what it actually does at this point, it chooses the number of 0 or 1. So it makes this choice only once. Let's refresh the page and look at it again. Our bullet right now chooses a number of 0 or 1. I might choose OK, and I see that, oops, empty shot. It means that this function chose a number of 0. Okay, let's go to our second cycle. And what the problem we have right here? We have this player choice variable that asks us about our choice, but we don't have a new bullet right here. I know that this bullet is 0 right now, and I might use cancel to heal up myself, because I know that if this bullet is fake, and if I shoot myself, in our logic, we just heal the player. Let's go to the first cycle, and here again, we update the player choice, but we don't update our bullet. And I know that this bullet equal to 0. I might again choose cancel, and I will again heal myself. To actually make it fully random, we should always update it after every single cycle. I will delete it, and the easiest way how to understand when you should update this variable is actually, we just might copy this part without the keyword let and put before the player choice. And that's it. We always might put it before the player choice. In this case, it will at first update the bullet, and then it will give us the choice to shoot. And we will not know, is it bullet 1 or 0? I save the file and try to play it again. Let's shoot the dealer. We have an empty shot. Okay, I might try to shoot it again, and you see that you hit the dealer and dealer loses a life. So we have two different options, but I used the same choice. And let's try it again, and you see that you hit the dealer, congratulations, you killed the dealer. By this combination, we see that our random works. We have a working game loop, but as you see at this stage, I should always remember the amount of HP for the player and for the dealer. We don't have any message that says how much HP we have. I expanded the window, and you might think that it's easy to change. You might just add the numbers right here. And okay, I might write something like HP equals to 2, then go to the next cycle and write HP equal to 1. Go to the next cycle, write HP equal to 0. But if we think about that, we know the amount of HP only in our first cycle. We know that player has 2 HP and dealer has 2 HP. And if we have this branch, though dealer will have 1 HP because we decrease the HP of the dealer. And in the second branch, will also have 1 HP, but it will refers to the player. Here we'll also have 1 HP, and here we'll have 3 HP. But it doesn't work for our second cycle because I don't know which of the 4 possible branches have been chosen before the second cycle. And as you see, we have like 4 different branches with 3 different outputs. So it means that inside of every single branch, I should add at least 3 new if statements to check every possible condition. And it will be much more complex in the first cycle. How to fix it? Even though that we don't know the amount of HP for each cycle, but we have a variable for player and for the dealer that contains the amount of HP. It would be very nice if we might just console these numbers, and we might do it. For example, you might write a new console. So I will delete this HP equal to 1 and write a new console. And here, instead of the string, so instead of the quotes, I will just write dealer lives. If I save the file and press OK, now you see I got the first branch and we have 2 different console logs, and we see this number that refers to the amount of HP that dealer has. But it's also a little bit difficult. You might continue adding this additional console logs, but there is a way how to write them into one console log. So I might delete my console log that refers to dealer lives. I added a new sentence, and as you see, I have a previous sentence and a new one where I have dealer lives column, and here I have plus, and I'm using our variable. Let's also break it down how it works. In JavaScript, this plus operator might be recognized as addition or as concatenation, and how JavaScript choose what to do is actually based on the data type that we provide to this operator. So if we have 2 numbers, JavaScript will just add them together as we have in the math. So 1 plus 1 equals 2, 10 plus 5 equals 15. But if our data types are strings, we might recognize them by these quotes. I might recognize that this is a string. If we are providing 2 strings for plus operator, it will just join them together. And this operating calls concatenation. 1 plus 1 will give 11 as a result of concatenation of 2 strings. The same if I have 2 words, so I might have good and morning, and the result will be good morning as a one joined string. And one also interesting example, if I have different parameters, like one parameter is a number because it's without quotes, and one number is a string. So in this case, JavaScript will automatically change the number to the string and will join them together as a common concatenation. And this is actually what we have in our code right now. All this huge sentence is a first string parameter, then I'm using plus operator, and I'm using dealer lives. And if we hover over it, we see that this is a number. The result will be our previous message that you hit the dealer, and right now we see that dealer lives equal to 1. So this is exactly what we have. Right now I might use the same pattern for remaining console logs. I will change this parameter in our second branch. I will delete this HP and add player lives plus player lives. Our third branch does absolutely the same thing, so I will just copy and paste it. Even though that our third branch increases the amount of HP, I might also copy and paste it, because right now this variable will be dynamically updated depending on our previous code line that says that, okay, right now our player lives should be incremented by 1 or decremented by 1. We'll see the right result. I should do the same thing for our second and third cycle, so I will just copy these if statements and paste them right here. Let's save the file and see how it works. I have the same message that where do you want to shoot. I might press OK and we see that you hit the dealer and we see the amount of lives of the dealer. I might press cancel and we see that lucky break, player lives equal to 3, and I will press OK again and you see that you hit the dealer and dealer lives equal to 0, and then we have the congratulation message. And let's do one more thing. Right now all our cycles are working and you might just copy and paste these cycles to increase the amount of them. I saved the file. Right now I have 3 cycles and I might try to use only cancel button. What will happen? So we see that lucky break, let's try again, we loses a life, let's try again, and you see that we loses a life again, but our player lives is still 1, but we don't have any message anymore. And this is because we don't have any cycles anymore. And no matter how much cycles you will add, the player will always have a chance to just run out all of them. And in this case, we should write any default condition. In the end of our file, it might be just a simple message that all the cycles have passed and restart the page if you want to play again. So something that the player will know what happens. I will use Alt-Z to wrap our code and see all the message that I wrote. Right now I wrote that all cycles are completed. Please refresh the page to start a new session. It might be a great default condition, but the problem that we have is that this default condition will console a new message always after the winning check. But what we want to do, we want to define if the player have lives and if the dealer have lives. It means that we don't have any winner, and in this case we want to show this message. So our if statement will be the same as we have in our cycles. So if player lives is more than 0 and dealer lives is more than 0, it means that we don't have any winners. I will write the same thing. And right now I might cat this message by Ctrl X and put it inside of our default condition. Let's also test it. We see a pop-up message and I will try to do it again. I will try to press cancel, then cancel again. And I know that, okay, now I have 2 lives. If I press cancel again, we see that player lives is equal to 3. And we have a message that all cycles are completed. Whew, it was a huge work, a huge project that is working right now. And you might give to your friends, so they might play your game. In the next video, we'll learn about JavaScript loops. We'll change this code a little bit, but we'll start a new game project.